What's going on, everybody? Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Kieran. I like to help people using a spiritual perspective. Today, I want to talk about something that I think is probably the most important part of a spiritual awakening, and definitely the most important part of your journey in this lifetime, okay? Really, what it's coming down to, I think in my own life, and I think across the collective, is a belief in oneself. That to me is the most important thing that can ever actually be done. To me, that's the whole point of the spiritual awakening, is to truly believe in yourself in more ways than one, right? So obviously there's an idea of confidence that goes along with believing in yourself. This idea that if you set your mind to a task and you believe that you can complete it, you have some sort of confidence or faith in yourself, then you will complete that task, right? Sort of a positive affirmation and a psychological, I guess, valuable tool into completing things and getting things done, and basically moving along with your life, right? This sort of general idea of believing in yourself and doing things, right? While that's definitely a part of what I'm talking about, what I am truly trying to say when it comes to believing in yourself, and something that I think that people forget about, is this belief in who you truly are, meaning a belief in what is actually going on in the spiritual journey, right? So believing in your soul, believing in your actual ability to create and manifest your entire world, literally believing in yourself in the truest sense of the word, not believing necessarily in your ability, though that's definitely what I'm talking about, but believing in who you are as a primal sort of energy source, as a being of light and love and basically pure vibration, right? Pure vibrational energy, right? Believing in yourself is the most important thing that you can actually do for yourself along this journey. It's something that is definitely lacking in a lot of people in this collective, along whatever kind of journey people seem to be in. It's something that I think that has definitely been taught to people through society conditioning, whatever it may be, to basically not do, right? To not believe in yourself, to not want to be the best version of yourself, to not believe that you can do simple tasks, right? I'm pretty well versed in the subject, considering that for the majority of my life, and of course, even still, I had this lack of faith, lack of belief in myself. Always not believing I could do something. It was never I can or I will. It was always I can't and I won't, right? There was always this negativity surrounding the purest form of myself, right? This sort of outer layer that was getting in the way of everything that I needed to be, right? And this is something that I'm seeing across the collective, right? Regardless of what kind of relationship you're in, because I do I talk about twin flames a lot, but of course this really does apply to anybody. This idea that who you are is what you should be believing in. You should not be believing in anything else. You shouldn't be believing in a relationship. You shouldn't be believing in the 3D world to make you happy. You shouldn't be believing in other people. What you want to do is you want to believe in yourself. Because by believing in yourself, you're also funneling that energy to believe in others, right? It's not like I'm definitely suggesting that you do not have faith in your friends or family, the people that you care about, not at all. I'm saying that in order to believe that you deserve anything, in order to believe that you deserve those people in the first place, you first need to believe in yourself, believe that you are worthy of something, right? And it is hard to believe that you're worthy of anything when there's a fundamental difference in the way that you see what you believe. Basically, what I mean by that is if you do not have a sort of connection to your own inner being, it becomes incredibly hard to believe in yourself, because what else is there to believe in if not you? It's very hard to believe in your egoic mind to really accomplish anything, since it's that same mind that's actually basically causing you to not get the things that you want, right? And so this sort of brings, I guess, me into a point of, well, then how do you go about believing in yourself? How do you actually take this idea of who you are and make it something which you can continuously, let's say, connect to on a daily basis in a way that actually helps you, right? Because it seems really pithy to just say, oh, believe in yourself, and that's all nice and everything will just work out. But that's usually not how it works. Trust me, from a lifetime of negativity, it does not work out when you just, take some sort of advice like that. Oh, believe in yourself. No, it's a little bit deeper than that, right? So this idea of believing in yourself, how do you actually go about doing it? How do you connect the dots of yourself, right? How do you formulate a sort of connection to this part of yourself that you may have not been truly aware exists within you, right? So believing in yourself doesn't require much. It doesn't really require a lot of hard work. It's definitely going to require some struggles as you go about doing this, but it doesn't really require any physical exertion, even really that much of a mental exertion. Believing in yourself is knowing that you're always going to fall into your own grace, knowing that you are safe at all times, right? When you don't believe in yourself, you feel very unbalanced, very anxious, very stressed, worried about the future, not knowing what to do, and very much just up in the air. You're in the state of limbo, emotionally and mentally, where you don't know whether you should make a left turn, a right turn, or even if you should just say fuck that to both paths and just go straight or turn around. Everything's a mystery and you don't know what to do. But when you believe in yourself, it's a matter of understanding that you do not need the answers right now. And that's kind of what I'm talking about not really needing this idea of control about anything. You don't really need to become anything else. You basically just need to fall into your own grace, falling into your soul, trusting in your soul, right? So basically, how do you go about doing this, right? Well, obviously there's meditation, right? But if you're struggling with meditation because it's not fun and it's certainly not the most exciting type of thing to do, a better way to do it, if you do struggle with meditation, is to quite simply lay down, almost like meditation, and just be still. Because again, the purpose is not to convince yourself to be somebody else. That's not what believing in yourself is, right? It's a part of it, but again, it comes down to this deeper awareness of who you are, a true belief that you exist, right? In the same way that you might believe in, well, not that you would probably if you're watching this video, but in the same way that as a kid, you might believe in Santa Claus, right? This idea that there is this wonderful, mystical sort of element of the supernatural that exists within the reality that you almost want to believe. Now, I understand that Santa Claus isn't real, but the belief is real. Believing in yourself, that's where the connection to the universe comes from. That's where the connection of oneness comes from. It doesn't come from anything else other than you. Because remember, at the end of the day, you are the universe and the universe is you. Therefore, you do not need to struggle and even wonder why the universe seems to be shitting on you, or why you're in a series of bad luck, and wondering if the angels and your guides and the universe in general has actually abandoned you, right? It's impossible to be abandoned from something that you're constantly connected to. But what you are going to be abandoned from, where this feeling is coming from, is you're going to be abandoned by yourself. There's only so far you can go on the spiritual journey before the universe, your guides, and your angels stop essentially giving you signs, and they sort of begin to pull back, because it's this idea that when you're on the spiritual journey, you're constantly looking for signs and validations that you're going somewhere, right? But you're not truly looking at yourself for these answers. You're looking to the universe outside of yourself. And the whole point is to believe in yourself. The whole point of the spiritual journey is to love yourself, believe in yourself, trust yourself. And what is you? What is this self that we're talking about? It's certainly not this physical body, and it's definitely not your ego as well, right? It's not your mind, right? Again, what you're believing in is your very existence, your very presence, your very soul. That's all that there is. That's all the meaning in your life needs to be. The meaning does not come from the money, the women, the men, the sex, the drugs, the the house, and wherever you want with the picket fence and the nice car. All that stuff's great, but where your belief comes from is not from things in the physical. It comes from things in the spiritual. It comes from things beyond this sort of physical 3D reality, right? And so again, you're basically choosing to believe in who you are at an individual level. And once you can do that, once you can start to put your focus on that sort of idea, you'll start to see things in your life begin to shift, because there isn't anything outside of yourself that truly matters, right? It's all about you. It's all about yourself. It's all about your soul. There's nothing else that matters, right? Spiritual awakening is basically a path to understanding yourself and removing everything that isn't authentic, hence forcing you in a way to believe in yourself. And that's really what will happen in the spiritual journey, is a constant state of suffering and reflection of the negative, in relation to how you feel about yourself. And the more that you feel cut off from source or the universe, however you choose to describe it, the more that you are essentially cut off from yourself. And that's the problem, right? That's the whole idea. People in their spiritual journey, the twin flame journey, their regular life, regardless of how spiritual someone is, there's this constant lack of belief that anybody can do anything. And this comes down to something as simple, or maybe it's not that simple, but it comes down to things like politics. People, their disbelief in their ability to create change, even though it is quite literally the people that have the only ability to do it. And there's something fundamentally wrong about that when people living in a society don't feel that they have power when it is truly the only thing that they do have, right? And that's such a scary and kind of disturbing thought in whatever kind of way that means, whether it's something about politics or relationships, or the ability to end a relationship that doesn't serve you, or even the ability to believe in a relationship ever happening, right? Believing that you could get the girl or the guy or the twin flame or ever come into a relationship with anybody or ever find love at all, right? It's this idea of constantly being reinforced in society to not believe in yourself. In fact, if anything, it's always about believing in others, believing in everything else outside of yourself. Nobody ever asks you or tells you to believe in yourself. And that's why it's so difficult on the spiritual journey, because you've basically been taught this entire time to not believe fundamentally in who you are, especially if you were a kid and usually kids are pretty authentic, and joyful and innocent, and that gets corrupted and taken away by the people in their life, especially if you have toxic parents, narcissistic type of people influencing your life from a very early age, right? And trust me, I understand what that's like. It's a very difficult process to get from feeling like you're nothing to somebody, right? So moving back into what I was trying to get into a little bit earlier about, how do you believe in yourself? How do you truly become aware of this deeper presence inside of yourself, right? So again, being still, deep breathing into who you are, right? You're not breathing into anything else but breath, which sounds kind of paradoxical. But this idea is that when you want to believe in yourself, when you want to know that you exist, when you want to feel that you have trust and love and safety within your own presence, within your own energy space, the best thing you can do is be still. Stop looking to the horizon. Stop wondering what's going to happen in the future. Stop thinking about the past. Breathe, because you exist. There is something inside of you that's there. There is a wellspring of knowledge and power and drive and energy and inspiration and love and joy. All of that exists within you. All of it. There's a disconnect, though, which is what we've been talking about. There's a disconnect between all of these things. So in order to connect those two together, in order to fix that disconnect, you need to fix the problem. You need to remove yourself essentially from the problem. And the problem is the disconnect, right? All your problems in life basically stem from this idea of lack of faith in yourself, from this not having this belief in your ability to do things correctly, or that you'll ever succeed, or that if you fail once, you can't succeed again, right? That you can't keep going, that there's nothing to believe in. And that's all information and ideas and conditioning that comes from everywhere outside of you. All of that is from someone else, somewhere else. An idea, people, society, television, your friends, your parents. relationships, all of it comes from somewhere else, and we internalize it. And there's the disconnect. We were never born with this ability, or I should say, this belief to, or this lack of belief in yourself. I'm sure you've seen babies before. If there's one thing that you could probably describe babies as, to me, other than maybe innocence, it would be sort of, in a way, to me, babies are like pure, they're just pure existence. They're like they just absorb all of these informations, all of the things that they're seeing, but they're like these little blank slates, right? They haven't been turned into anything. They're not, they're at the beginning of course, this lifetime. So they're just this clean sort of energy that can be shaped however it wants, right? And then it's up to them later on in life to take responsibility for whatever issues may have come from living in this kind of weird sort of 3D reality, right? But what happens with them is they're not doing anything, right? Being a clean slate, being blank, means doing nothing. What is it that babies do all day other than shit their pants and drink milk or whatever it is that they do? They don't do anything. They just observe, right? This idea is that they're kind of like little cameras. They're just observing everything around them, right? But there isn't anything that's getting in the way of that experience, not yet. And that's kind of the point that I'm trying to make. Believing in yourself, you don't have to go out and do anything. I mean, you certainly are going to have to take actions in your life, but from the very belief itself, it doesn't require any real physical action on your part, meaning that in order to believe in yourself, you don't need to go do something, right? You need to just be still, right? Now, in order to sort of act upon that belief in yourself, you definitely need to go do something. Obviously, if you have a desire to be a writer, you're not going to get anywhere by not writing or not sharing it and not taking action on that, obviously. But this idea of believing in yourself in the first place, it comes from stillness. It comes from being alone. It comes from finding time for yourself. It comes from taking care of yourself. It comes from taking care of your physical body, your emotional body, right? Being still, truthfully believing in yourself, understanding who you are on a deeper level. It doesn't require much. It requires being still, going into nature, just being silent. The idea here is you're removing everything. You're removing your thoughts. You're removing yourself from other people. You're removing yourself from other energies, distractions, your phone, TV, whatever it is, and just being still, like a baby, just observing, just existing, trying to get back to that clean slate, trying to be in a place where you feel that you're kind of balanced again. And that comes from stillness. Stop trying to do something. It's counterintuitive because we constantly believe that we have to be doing something, not only to prove our worth to ourselves, but our worth to society and the world. And that's kind of funny and a little bit disturbing, again, how much we constantly feel that we need to do X, Y, and Z for, D, F, and G, right? Constantly trying to fit ourselves into puzzles, rather than realize that we are the puzzle, right? We don't need to fit into anywhere. We are actually fine on our own, right? And that's the stillness. That's that belief in yourself, believing that you do actually exist on a deeper level, not just believing that, you can see your physical body. That's great. Obviously, you're here, but that's not really good enough, because if it was, then we wouldn't get people so entrapped in their mind with depression, people that commit suicide, literally unable to handle the life that they're in, simply because they do not believe or have faith or hope left in anything, right? And I have never experienced a friend or anything that's committed suicide, nobody close to me, but I do know lots of friends or people that I once knew, acquaintances, you could say. And each of them who committed suicide all seem to relay information to these various people that there was nothing left to believe in, and that their whole life had been constantly a series of disappointments, looking basically outside of themselves for something to make sense, right? People often use drugs as a sort of escapism, right? I definitely did in my past as well. It's something that is easy to do when you're taught not to believe in who you are, right? So you have this idea of stillness, and it's the most important thing. It truly is the only thing that really matters, is taking yourself and removing yourself from everything that you think you're supposed to be and you're supposed to be doing, and being still and just clearing your head. And it's difficult, it's hard, right? It's a sort of meditation, it's sort of forcing yourself to be still in this moment, but it is the most important thing you can do. And it's paradoxical, and that's why it's so hard to do. Because, again, it involves relaxation, and relaxation is very hard to do when there's responsibilities and things that you're worrying about in the 3D. But it helps, right? And kind of getting into a sort of second thing, it helps if you start to understand that you are not based basically in this reality. That's not really who you are. Who you are isn't truly a human. Now, you're having a human experience, most definitely, but who you are at a deep, deep, true level is not a human, right? You're not your gender, right? You're not your occupation. If you're a mother, a father, if you like men or women, none of that stuff is who you are. You can't be one thing, right? I mean, how would you, if somebody described you, introduced you always as a mother, just a mother. Now, it's not like that's a bad thing, but it would start to, after a while, I believe, people only seeing you as a mother rather than maybe something else, right? Or another good example is in society, and this is true for men as well, but let's just say historically, women have been objectified, and people only seeing them as a physical body, basically a sexual objective that once reached, you don't have to worry about anymore, right? And again, it definitely applies to men as well, objectivity, of course, but with women, of course, it's a historical thing, right? So you have this idea that you're not, one thing. You don't want to be judged by your body, by this one element of who you are, right? Positive or negative. You're so much more than one thing, right? And that's, of course, where that belief in yourself comes from, right? Because when you focus on whether you're not you're this or you're that, you could believe one thing about yourself and get confidence from that. Like if you're good looking, you might know that you're good looking and have sort of a belief that you're good looking, but you might struggle with your finances because you don't have a belief that you have an ability to, get money and always have some sort of security, right? But yet you can believe in one thing and not believe in the other. And that's kind of what I'm trying to say, is that it doesn't matter because you're not either of those things anyway, right? Yes, you may be good looking, and yes, you may struggle with your finances, but neither of those things are who you are. You're not the person who is good looking, and you're not just the person who's good looking. That's not how you're defined by yourself, and you're not also defined by your mistakes or your inability to somehow get finances together and create a safety for yourself, right? None of those things make up who you are. And so if you struggle with one, or you don't struggle with the other, in either case, coming back to yourself, being still, is how you can believe in yourself, how you can believe in your ability to do anything and to fix one right or continue, continue your whatever is going good for you, right? Fixing your mistakes and having this ability to know that you can, right? Intellectually, people totally understand what it is that they should be doing, but emotionally, spiritually, people do not have this belief that they can actually go ahead and do that anyway, right? How many of you struggle to let go of something, give up something, and yet have it, still struggle with this, right? This obvious belief that you should give up something and yet completely fail every single time, or deeply struggle with it, right? And that's always coming from some sort of resistance, not being still, not accepting how things are, not truly taking the time to believe in yourself, right? It's so crazy how people, including myself, will go about, oh, I should do this, right? And diet's a great example. I've shared this a couple times. Now, I'm not like, really that out of shape. I work out a lot, certainly more than I used to, but there's still some elements of my diet that I could really change and that I really wish to change. And I've been realizing a lot lately that I've definitely been struggling with that, right? this element of belief, my ability to do so. And it sort of turns into a cycle. I'll go to the gym, work out, do a lot of stuff, and then like later on in the day, there'd be some sort of sabotage, and then I end up eating whatever, like a bunch of fudge or something, whatever, man. I love chocolate and shit. So I'll end up eating something sweet, and it's just calories and sugar, and it's not good for anybody. And eating too much, too often, and it's sort of just out of control, right? And always, because it's like when the moment comes, when the craving happens, when the ego is rushing me into doing something, it's that little voice in your head basically telling you to do the thing that you shouldn't do. you know there's that lack of belief in myself. Basically, I listen to the wrong part of myself because I don't believe that intuition, that what I really should be doing, I actually have the ability to do that, to stand my ground, right? And so what I've started to come to a realization is, rather than constantly fight against my mind, right? Constantly try to deal with this shit when it's actually happening, right? Like when I'm in front of some cookies and I have that thought and I know that I'm just going to resist the thought and it's just going to cause a war inside of my head, and then I end up doing it anyway, and then I feel guilty, and then I spiral, and then I do more, right? How many of you guys actually, like, probably a lot of you guys know what I'm talking about in some sort of degree. So the only way for me to really get out of that sort of spiral, is to remove myself from it entirely, right? And that's again how you believe yourself, by removing yourself from everything that is essentially teaching you or reflecting that lack of belief, right? So again, if you do struggle with diet or your finances, don't try and fix things while they're happening, because it's like, if you don't have the deeper awareness, you're just going to keep making mistakes. What you want to do is you want to remove yourself entirely, take a break from the issue, so you can see things in a more objective way. Go back to that sort of baby-like state where babies, again, they're not trying to do anything. There's nothing going on. There's no, they're not trying to be the famous writer. They're not trying to prove themselves to their father or whatever. That was personal. They're not trying to do anything that's crazy, right? They're just existing. They're just sitting there and taking it all in, and basically just, literally being these sort of their souls, right? And that's again why we think of babies as being very pure and innocent, because it's at this very, very early stage of their life here, where it's just very open, like what your soul would be, right? That part of you that always exists within you now, that you're just not really connected to. But remember, guys, you're still the kid you used to be. You're still that baby. Like, that existence is still happening right now. All that's changed is your mental state and, of course, your physical body. But nothing else has greatly changed. You're still that person that didn't die. Your inner child didn't die. The little toddler that you once were, that didn't die. That's not dead. That's still inside you, right? And of course, that's a whole other issue for another topic, about healing your inner child, because of course a lack of belief usually comes from something in childhood, right? And it becomes difficult to deal with in adulthood when you're constantly trying to when you're playing this game. But sometimes, guys, and this is just something that I've recognized in my own experience about trying to believe in yourself and gaining confidence in that way, is you need to take a step back from the game that you're stuck in, and essentially decide if you're better off not playing it at all, right? Because playing the game, which people often say, you got to play the game in life. You don't have to play the game in life. You don't have to do anything. That's kind of the whole point. It's about removing yourself from the game. And then if you want to go back and play the game, well, then you'd play it better anyway and you'd win. But this idea is that take a step back, and maybe you're like, I don't actually like that game. I'll go play another one that I make up. Because this life is actually a reflection of you. It's your reality is based upon your thoughts, your belief, your existence. So if your thoughts are always negative, you're going to get more negative things in your life, right? That's just something that's sort of law of attraction, right? But again, taking the step back, believing in yourself, being still. All right, there's lots of things you can do to believe in yourself. Definitely taking action, and the more that you fail is a great teacher. Failure is probably the best teacher ever. That's all true. Those are all great, all pithy, but not really what I'm trying to say in this specific video today, which is, again, really just about the belief in who you are, believing that you are a soul, believing that you're powerful. And the best way to connect to that is to be still. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to, again, go put on a 30-minute guided meditation. Definitely going to help. But most importantly, what you want to do is you just want to be still in some way. Force yourself to just exist, without a desire to do anything. Okay. A quick tip for this just before I go is set yourself some time, hopefully a day, a week, where you don't actually do anything. Okay, this is making a huge difference in my life. Usually I do it every Sunday. I just sort of works out like that. It's not like a religious thing, but every Sunday or so, definitely on the weekend, I will take a day and I don't do shit. Meaning I don't do YouTube. I barely even talk to people. I don't make music. I don't do anything except essentially relax and exist as if like I'm sort of on vacation or something like that. Literally just enjoying life, right? Enjoying being alive, and that's making a very big difference in my life. Just because it allows me to be in my own energy, save the energy that I am using, and essentially it helps me gain more confidence in myself because I don't feel like I'm constantly having to do anything, prove anything to anybody. I'm just being in a connection with myself, and that helps me move forward with more confidence because it gives me a belief in my own ability to take a break from everything that's going on in the 3D and just focusing on the 5D, because again, that's who you guys really are. That's where you're going to get that belief from. You're not going to get it from outside of yourself. So, okay, guys. So try to believe in yourself. Try to just take what resonates out of this video, because I know a lot of you guys are struggling to think that you can ever do anything, accomplish anything in whatever way that may be. It doesn't just apply to my usual sort of people who watch me. It applies to everybody. So hopefully somebody who finds this video that's new will understand exactly kind of what I'm talking about. And I hope that you guys resonate with this video and will be able to use it for your own future reference, right? Being able to use it and take some of what I'm saying and basically accomplish something internally within yourself, okay? Because I didn't write any of this shit down. I just started talking. And so I don't know how much of this actually made sense. So you guys have to let me know if it resonated or not. Okay, so other than that, guys, any information about all the other services and stuff I do, I'll put it in the description box. And I will talk to you guys later. Thanks so much for watching. Really appreciate it. And goodbye for now.